That record holds now with the camel completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello.
And we have the Malaysian Grand Prix to review.
Is it Malaysian or Malaysia Grand Prix?
The wiki says Malaysian.
Yes, but Ted made a very big point of kept saying it's the Malaysia Grand Prix, not the Malaysian.
He did
Grand
that
Prix.
last year as well.
He did. Autosport also calls it the Malaysian Grand Prix.
And
I'll tell you what, people
Sky,
listening out there, correct us if we're wrong. Please do.
Yeah, I don't mind being corrected. On Sky, when I record it and I press the information, it says Malaysian.
Maybe Ted's just trolling us all. Ted, we know you listen to this. Which one is it?
Yeah, stop messing around with people, for crying out loud. It hurts us. Anyway, we're here for the Malaysian Grand Prix. I'm
Yes.
doing for the Malaysian Grand Prix. If you want
You're doing Malaysian, I'm going to go Malaysia.
Okay, well then we're covering both boats.
We've got both. Yeah, absolutely. We've got both ends of the spectrum covered.
Cool. If you know exactly what it should be, then please email us at grandprixpodcast.com, not gmail.com.
Yeah, don't have a seizure in the middle of writing the email address.
Yeah, up yours. Anyway, right. As you probably worked out, we will probably say swears and stuff throughout this thing. So if you have tiny little ears listening, then maybe is the time to remove them from the room or from the car, or maybe turn it off and save it for later on. We will also probably get tons and tons of people's names wrong and other stuff wrong. So yeah, we're just two idiots on the internet.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't make the mistake that we're bloody experts just because we're on the internet. That is no bar of entry here.
No, exactly. Everyone's on the internet now. So, we're just another bunch of idiots.
Yeah, Donald Trump's on the internet now. I mean, that's how low the bar is.
Yes. Thank you very much. That sets everything up perfectly, I feel. So we have the Malaysian Grand Prix. Where do we go with this? Do we do what happened in between, or do we do our initial thoughts? I reckon initial thoughts on this race so far.
I reckon initial thoughts is usually a good place to start. How about let's mix things up a bit? What did you think of it, Elton?
Okay, what did I think of it? I enjoyed it. I thought the weekend as a whole was chaotic. I think that would be the best way to describe it. Mm-hmm. Chaotic, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. There were some risque parts, and the result I was very happy with. But I'm also saddened by what happened throughout this weekend. It breaks my little heart because I feel that we were robbed. I feel the last 2 weeks, not from a Ferrari perspective, but from a Formula One perspective and a spectacle, we were robbed. And I suppose that's just the way things go every now and again. It's nice to see people fail and people be triumphant. So all in all, I'm coming away happy. And I'm happy with the Malaysian Grand Prix. I'm happy with the track. But am I going to miss it? Don't know. Don't think so. What about you?
Yeah, I suppose much the same by and large. I didn't catch a huge amount over the weekend. Although, top tip for everyone, since Liberty Media have come in now and have actually kind of entered the 21st century, you can now catch highlights from FPs 1, 2 and 3 on YouTube.
Excellent.
It's awesome. If you just go to YouTube and just search Formula One, they have their own YouTube page now. And yeah, so I managed to watch the highlights of all of the FP sessions on there. Amazing. Who would have thought it? Engaging with the community. Madness. But still, aside from that, yeah, I mean, much the same as you. It was an entertaining weekend. Of all the Tilke circuits, this was probably my favourite. I mean, I know it more so from back when I used to follow MotoGP more so. But it's given us some great races. I am certainly going to be sad to see it go. There are other races I would have ditched before this one, I suppose is a better way to put it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Starting with Monaco. But, aside from that, I mean, I don't think it's going to be gone for long, to be perfectly honest. partly because with Petronas being a major sponsor through the Mercedes team, and also with Liberty Media have effectively said they're willing to make deals and to address the redonkulous costs and inequality that Bernie had set up. I think we'll probably see it back. I mean, I think long term we're going to find there's going to be maybe 10 core races which will appear every year, and then it's going to be 10 which will cycle through over however many periods. So I think that's probably the system we're going to end up going, because there's more places applying to run Formula One races than there physically can be races.
Yeah. But I suppose that would be good to have a core amount of Grand Prix that are just there. They're biblical.
Exactly. You're going to get your kind of your showcasey pieces, the ones which are guaranteeing you the best of the racing, guarantee you the best of the history and stuff like that. And then I think it'll be dropping in and out on other places from time to time, which I'm fine with, to be perfectly honest. Mm-hmm. I think that would work quite nicely. It mixes things up a bit. You're not going to find someone who always wins at a certain track. So
I like it when countries share tracks. I like the German stat of things when they used to mix it between Hockenheim and the Nürburgring, and also the Japanese Grand Prix when it was Suzuka and then Fuji.
Yeah, exactly. And to a lesser extent, Italy, when you had the Italian Grand Prix and then the Imola Grand Prix. But still, I think that's probably more how it's going to go. But getting back to what did I think of the weekend? It was a fun race, lots of high drama throughout. An actual overtake for the lead in the race.
Oh, what? Really?
I know, right? I was shocked.
Only one, mind you, though.
One more than you usually get.
Yeah, that's right. Is that the first one of the season? It may well be.
I mean, I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't realise you weren't watching this live at the time. So I nearly sent you a massive spoiler at one point when I was going to message you saying, what if he obviously doesn't finish the race at this point?
Do you know what? I was dodging. It was like a minefield this weekend. I got up on the Sunday. I saw I had to see the qualifying late because I had to take my daughter horse riding. Then I had my boys' football this morning, and I could have watched the first hour, but I didn't want to leave it halfway through. I can't do that. I can't not watch the first, or not watch the second half of the race. That's just not on.
No, it's just not cricket, damn it.
Exactly. So I went to football, and I didn't have the radio on the way down there. I didn't go on social media or anything like that. I did have you and Lee Harvey private message me, and I was quickly like, no, don't say anything. Haven't seen it at football.
Yes. And I don't think what I said was in any way a spoiler.
No.
So I think
no, and he's very lucky as well. He's very, very lucky. So I stamped on them fires pretty quick. But then I'm on the sideline watching my boy play football, and one of the dads rolled up to another dad and went, yeah, so I saw the race, and I didn't quite catch what they said, but they said something about Verstappen, and my radar just pricked on and was like, oh, no. And they both looked at me and went, what? What's he doing? Why is he saying no to me a lot?
He's having a seizure.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I'm going to go all the way down the other end of the pitch. You guys can chat away to your heart's content. I went, oh, okay, fine. So, yeah, nearly got spoiled as well. I heard the name.
I did see, I was going to say, I saw Autosport posted a picture as literally like 2 minutes after he'd won, just saying, Verstappen wins Malaysia Grand Prix. And like the response was just, well, thanks for the spoilers, you bastard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, I actually had to remove. I still follow a few drivers on Formula One, and I had to mute their feeds a while back because I was away traveling or what have you, and I hadn't had a chance to watch the race. And they would always post, go, "Oh well, it was a great race. Congratulations to so and so for winning." It's like, no.
Yeah, that's why in the Facebook group we've got, it's kind of quiet, but it's because we don't just post spoilers all the time. I think if we were that well intended on posting every single up to the minute lap, then there would be a ton of spoilers on there. And that would I want to be spoiled? No, I wouldn't. So that's why we don't do that.
Plus, if you want to know what happened during the race, you've got to listen to the sodding podcast.
Yeah, well, hopefully they know what happened in the race, but I get what you mean anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so you enjoyed it. That's good. That's good.
Yes. It like I said, there was a lot of drama, which I'm with you. In one way, it might have denied us action on the track, but if history's shown us anything in the last 20 years, I'd rather take the drama how we got it, because it's more exciting than typically what you get on the track.
Yeah. I got thoughts on all of that. I think it's going to be a very good end of season. I think it's going to be a real good ramp up to the finale. So
one can hope. One can hope.
Yeah. Okay, news in between the races. What's happened?
Oh, we had a bit of news, yes. Well, I suppose the big one was Danny Kvyat's out for at least the next 2 races, being replaced by Gasly.
Oh, dear. Was he watching Game of Thrones when he had this news again?
Entirely, possibly eating sausage.
Whoa. Where did that come from?
Game of Thrones. But yeah, Pierre Gasly, it was announced that he is replacing Kvyatt only for the next 2 races, so Malaysia and Japanese Grand Prix, because he's still fighting Super Formula in Japan, the championship there, and he's second, only half a point behind the leader. So we'll see. I actually think it would depend on how well he's doing in Formula One to whether or not he goes back to Super Formula.
Right.
If he's doing really well, I think they'll keep him.
Yeah.
Because what's the point? You're only in Super Formula to help yourself get a ride in Formula One. If they think, ooh, he's not quite what we're looking for, or not quite ready, or whatever, or they want to give Kvyatt one last chance, then he'll go back. So Austin will be quite telling in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Or 3 weeks. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel if he didn't have that Super Formula thing to do, then we would have seen the last of Kvyatt, definitely for this season.
Yeah, very much so. It's unsurprising. I think we both are in agreement there. Kvyat's really just not done enough to stay the execution any longer. And he's had more chances than possibly anyone except another particular British driver, shall we say, when it comes to this. So...
Okay. So he's gone. We got... who came in front of him? Gasly.
Pierre Gasly, yes.
Yes, okay. I thought he'd done a pretty stellar job.
I thought so too, but everyone seemed to be quite down upon it. I think there's the weight of expectation now since Verstappen came in, effectively.
The bar has been set.
The bar has been set. And also with Van Dorn, if you remember, when he did that stand-in for Alonso last year, it's like you need to be better than just okay. Seems to be where they want it to be there, which is... you
need to be eye-catching, don't you?
Well, it's not even eye-catching. You need to be performing straight away. And I think that's unfair expectation. But, again, they've spent a lot of time bigging him up. Mm-hmm. But, and again, I think this was something Brundle pointed out. They've spent a lot of time bigging him up, but they seem hesitant to fully commit to him. Yeah. So is it sponsorship issues? Is it they're not entirely sure where they're going with that? We'll have to see. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see how he goes. We'll certainly get to him when we get to the race. Other news: most of the teams which are required to posted their financial earnings from the year, with Williams boosting profits and McLaren taking a bit of a hit.
Okay, have you got any numbers there?
Well, I can tell you that Williams, he says, trying to find the article again. Well, I can tell you McLaren took a £3.2 million loss based solely on the poor results in 2016.
Wow.
So if anyone's asking what's the cost of Honda, and bearing in mind Honda were paying for the engines and throwing sponsorship and all that sort of stuff, after all that, McLaren was still making a loss.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They've wiped out all their profit, haven't they? Wiped it completely.
Oh, absolutely. Out. Yeah. So, yeah, that's not great. I can't find the Williams article. Oh, there you go. Found it. Williams boosted profits during the first half of 2017 to 10.4 million.
That's all right.
That's not bad. And again, just in the last year, 2016, it was 4.1 million. So they got a boost. The fact that a small team like Williams, relatively small team, is able to run a Formula One operation and run it at a profit, that's pretty good going. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, they can. I mean, I think a lot of that boost came down to whatever deals were done with regards to Bottas.
Yep.
And plus Stroll's dad effectively paying for his kid to have a seat.
That's right.
Not a reflection on Stroll. I'm just saying his dad's got a lot of money and paid a lot of money. Yeah. So, hey. Other news, such as it is, what did we see there? China's signed another contract, so they'll be continuing for a while longer.
Cool.
Apparently, Alonso punched a hole in the wall after Singapore.
Can't blame him. I can't blame him at all.
Can't blame him. No, not a bit. I'm sure he'd rather have punched a hole in certain individuals, possibly responsible for his results. But
I imagine he was in his room. He punched a hole and went, "Oh, it's probably made by Honda." If it was just a McLaren wall, then I wouldn't have punched through it. If it was a Renault wall, I wouldn't have gone through it. But it's Honda, so there we go.
Yes. The only other thing I think worth mentioning is rumours circulating over who's going to get the seat in Williams next to Lance Stroll.
Yep.
It's down to 3 people, we understand. Felipe Massa, Paul di Resta, and Robert Kubica. It seems Renault, now that they've got science, are no longer able to offer him a place, which is understandable.
That's fine. Who do you reckon will end up with that?
I think it's going to be down between Kubica and di Resta. I think Massa. I think certainly in the second half of this year, we're kind of seeing why he retired last year.
Yeah, his driving doesn't seem to have the heart that it once did. He's such a passionate guy. Yeah,
absolutely. But I also just think, this was all respect, but he just seems tired in that sense of the motivation there to get out there and do it. He knows he's not going to be getting podiums.
Yeah.
He knows now that Lance has kind of found his feet. He's not guaranteed to finish ahead of him.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the fight. And I also think the lack of certainty over 2018 probably doesn't help. And I think he's of I don't have to prove myself. If you want me, I'm here. If you don't, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I think that attitude is entirely legitimate and fine. But I think that's probably going to lead to one of the other two. And I think it will come down to whether who has the better sponsorship package, I imagine, between Paul di Resta and Kubica.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree on that one. Okay, I've got a little bit of news, if you don't mind. We had Aston Martin, they confirmed that they will be a title sponsor with Red Bull.
They have, yeah, that's right. We mentioned, I think we mentioned last year they were doing something, but yes, no, they've gone the full title sponsor now.
Yeah.
Which led to, did you see that guy who does the F1 liveries on Facebook? Did you see
Holmes.
Did you see his Red Bull Aston Martin one?
No, I haven't. No, I'll have to look at that later.
I will find it while you explain the news to people.
Okay, fine. Well, that's going to be happening. Whether it will be I feel Red Bull are in a real good position at the moment. They've got the Renault engine there at the moment. They could possibly, if Honda turn out to be bloody good, They have the Honda engine in the backup waiting in the wings. They also have Aston Martin.
My understanding of I think Renault have said they're not supplying after next year.
Yeah, but that
is that officially been said, or is that just rumoured? I don't know if it's been announced or not.
That can all change.
Oh, it's very true. Yes,
that can all change unless it's official. Then it can all change, because we had Red Bull saying they're going to pull out of Formula One when Renault weren't doing the business. And it all changed. Yeah, but they badged it Tag Heuer. They could badge the same Renault engine as Aston Martin. We don't know. It might happen. Aston Martin might actually get off their arse and do a proper engine. They might turn around and say...
They've said they might, depending on how the next set of engine regs look.
Yeah. So we don't know just yet. So anyway, they're in position. And also...
If you're looking for chat, there's the picture there for you.
Oh, okay. Hang on 1 second. I need to have a look at this.
It's a great podcast for you people listening out there. But if you just go to Tim Holmes Design, that's TIMHOLMES Design, you'll find it there. He does amazing F1 liveries. Yes. Really good.
I love him. I've been following him for quite some time now. I like that.
Oh, it's nice, isn't it?
I like all that green. Green's my favourite colour anyway, but yeah, man. That's awesome. And I like what he's been doing with the halo as well, incorporating it into the design, which has to happen. So
yeah. And I think he more than anyone else has kind of got me going. The halos aren't going to be so bad.
Yeah. Also, one more bit of news. It was confirmed that Honda will not be bringing any more upgrades until the end of the season. Really? Is that in the contract? Because they've been doing that all season, haven't they? Surely.
Was it they're not doing any more, or they're going to save it all for one big hurrah?
What, in
one
Japan?
Big update? Well, I don't know when it's going to be, but I think what they said is they're going to change it so it's no longer going to be, feeding through updates here and there with, the revision 3.6 beta engine and shit like that.
Right.
They're just going to put all of their upgrades into one basket. And I guess in either Austin or maybe Brazil, they'll bring an updated engine there. And it'll be like, that's the best Honda engine we can make.
Jesus. Well, I heard that they weren't going to bring any, which just begs the question, have they been bringing any anyway? I don't know. That's all.
Can you just make a note in this? Just make a note here on the thing.
Yeah.
Because this isn't anything to do with F1. Someone just posted on Band of Brothers. Malarkey's just died.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if people are wondering what we're talking about there, if you pop along to RogueTwoMedia.com or Rogue2.com, we have a podcast about Band of Brothers where we're following the HBO series, and we're 2 episodes away from the end, and we've been thoroughly enjoying it, so please pop over there. It's all in iTunes and all that sort of stuff. So, I didn't know that. That's rather sad. And a bit of a spoiler.
It is.
But never mind.
Only 2 from the end.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So, should we get into this weekend? Shall I do the free practice first?
Yes, let us F the P's.
Okay, right. Free practice 1 was quite busy. We had a rain-delayed start. The first half hour, nobody went out at all. The clock ticked down as it normally does, but it was like the old qualifying sessions, wasn't it? Yeah. There was no action on the track whatsoever. I always feel sorry for the supporters when it's peeing down and there's no cars on the track. But we lost half hour on that, so everyone loses half hour on that. They stuck the safety car out a couple of times and then deemed it fine. I think when they went out, they were on intermediates at one point, and it dried up pretty quick after that. So we had Gasly, Sorokin, Leclerc, Giovinazzi, and who's the other guy? I can't think of the other guy. He was in Toro Rosso. Galebe, I think it was.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Anyway, third drivers driving around. Leclerc was faster than Verline, surprisingly. Sorokin was faster than Palmer, not surprisingly. Gasly was faster than the guy, I cannot remember his name, in the Toro Rosso, and Grosjean was understandably faster than Giovinazzi.
One would hope he would be, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, you would hope so, definitely. The most interesting thing was that most of the big guns from the teams, there was a couple of the teams that weren't there, they all went down to Williams at the very end of this free practice one. And apparently they all had a meeting about having a meeting later on about the pay caps. There's a noise happening about £150 million pay cap for all the teams. And some teams are going, well, we can't run on that. We can't run on £150 million. And other teams are like, yeah, fine, give us £150 million. We'll run on that. So it's interesting. There might be a couple of more meetings in the future. It looked like a very hastily put together meeting anyway. It was.
Ooh, that reminds me of another bit of news we completely forgot.
Well,
talking of hasty meetings.
Pull your microphone out and then plug it back in and then tell me. Because I ain't having that going on.
Sorry, I pulled out and I'm back in now. Is that better?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, cool. We forgot news to mention. The head of the FIA's F1 technical delegation, a technical chief, is it Marcin Budkowski?
Yeah, Budkowski, yeah.
Budkowski has resigned and allegedly accepted the job at Renault, which has got all of the F1 teams up in fucking arms.
Yes.
Because apparently last week he was going around the Red Bull factory being told all of their secrets for next year, being asked, is this legal? Can we do this? And so forth. He knows everything.
Yep.
And speaking of hastily arranged meetings, all of the teams are now like, we're having a hastily arranged meeting because this isn't on. The irony is the FIA, I believe, operates under Swiss law or something like that. And he only has to serve 3 months of gardening leave because there's nothing specific written in his contract.
Opposed to the year that it should really be.
At least a year, yeah. So everyone's freaking out. Because if you think about it, he resigned with immediate effect last week, which means he'd be in position by December.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which then he can go to Renault with all of the information from all the other teams, because he's got privy to what they're going to be doing next season as well, because there was talks about the Red Bull suspension and what they're doing, and they were putting it past him, is this legal? Is this not legal? And so he knows everything about it-ish, I suppose. And he can take all that stuff with him to Renault.
He can.
So if Renault are really, really good next year, then we all know why. We all know why they've got the best bits of everyone's car on there. But it also does open up the copyright rule?
Intellectual property.
That's it,
IP.
yeah. That's right, yeah. So,
which, if you cast your minds back to 2007, there was a bit of a hoo-ha about Ferrari intellectual property finding its way onto a McLaren.
Haven't McLaren got 150 million reasons why they wouldn't do this?
McLaren have some form when it comes to this, yes. Although the difference here was that was illegally obtained in so much as they were taking it. With Gasly, it could be... You get into this very difficult thing, you can't really copyright or have IP over a concept, just how it is specifically implemented.
Yeah.
So, the long and the short of it is, someone done fucked up when they were writing a contract somewhere. I suspect what will happen is the FIA might lean quite heavily on Renault to maybe delay him starting work.
Yeah.
If indeed he is, because again, Renault have not commented, so we don't know. But the fact they haven't denied it does suggest it's true.
That's true. I loved the way that McLaren got caught out on that, though. On a photocopier, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a photocopier at, it was like a Staples or something. And the guy working at the Staples just happened to be an F1 fan and recognised what it was. And it was the wife. It was a massive clusterfuck.
Yeah.
And then Alonso was having his strop at the time. And, reported them and everything, and Plus, Max Mosley had a massive axe to grind with Ron Dennis at the time too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Okay, cool. Right, I'm going to move on to FP2. Gasly.
Wait, sorry, before you do that, was Grosjean FP1 or was that FP2?
That was FP2.
Okay, continue.
That was FP2, yeah. I'm just about to hit that. Gasly had a fire in the pits. He came in pretty much like Kvyatt in Singapore, where he came into the pits and everything went woof all of a sudden in the car. 15 minutes into the session, Vettel set the new track record of 1:32.556, and that was going to be dropping down throughout the rest of the day as well.
Oh, yeah.
We had Bottas running wide. We had Lewis sliding sideways at T8 and flat spotting all four tyres, which was interesting to see, especially the Mercedes, just because they have got a nice tight package. We've always said that they've got a nice car underneath them. I don't think they've got the best aero, but they've got a superb package. And it's interesting to see that they're having niggling problems, especially coming in towards the end part of the season.
And last year at Malaysia, they truly dominated right up until the point the engine went pop.
That's right. Yeah. Earlier on, Palmer did a good job of missing the pit lane bollard. On this track, we have a really weird pit entry in where when you're watching the race and you can see the cars coming down, you have the long shot of the start-finish straight, and you can just see cars whizzing past from right to left, and you think, whoa, hang on, where's he going? Oh, that's right, he's going into the pits. Just before there is a bollard, and Palmer did an excellent job of driving around that bollard because he did some late braking, locked up a wheel, and went around it. Unfortunately, Stroll didn't do that kind of maneuver. He ended up just taking it out very clumsily. So he took out the bollard. There was
like a bollards, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Wehrlein. Now this piqued my interest. Wehrlein was on the radio at some point in that session saying that he said he thinks he hit something. Couple of minutes later, we had a crashed Grosjean in the barriers. And from what I can gather, and from what has been reported, one of the drain covers, the welds had worked their way loose over many, many passes of cars and probably years of being welded down as well. Mm-hmm. And the welds came loose. It was Bottas drove over it, loosened it, threw it up, but it popped back down. I think Kimi touched it ever so slightly and popped it up in the air. And Grosjean came around.
It looked like it was sitting upright after Kimi went over it.
Yeah. And Grosjean ended up hitting it. I think he collected it on his front wheel, which flipped it into the back wheel, which totally destroyed that wheel, sent him spearing off into the wall and writ off his car, really, didn't it? All four corners were damaged.
Gene Haas said it was £500,000 worth of damage.
And has it been confirmed that the Malaysian Grand Prix circuit will be paying for that?
I don't believe anything's been said on that in that respect.
Right.
So,
okay, so
we will. Yeah.
More drains coming undone. It's not good. It's not good at all.
Well, when was the last time we saw that? It was Monaco, wasn't it?
Monaco last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you could see the way these cars were just sucking up the drain, just from a downforce, effectively.
Mm.
And yeah, it's. I'm just looking at it here on the very handy YouTube highlights from FP2.
Good man.
And yeah, you got Bottas goes over it first, lifts it up, and when he's lifted it up, it's sitting, so it's kind of rocking up and down at kind of a shark fin angle, if you will. And then basically, Grosjean goes over it, his front wheel pushes it down flat, but then it pops back up and it basically just slices right through the rear.
Yeah.
And, the car's fully loaded at that point. And yeah, he just went off straight into the wall.
It's not good, mate. It's not good. There was
What's really not good is something Gene Haas pointed out, that it was lucky it happened with the wheel, because if it had gone under the car, it would have probably cut it in half.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't bear thinking about, does it?
Not at all. Not at all. It's just the sort of thing that really shouldn't be happening.
Have you seen the little clip that the Formula One put out on YouTube? I think it was on YouTube about the drivers' meeting. There's a very small drivers' meeting from the Malaysian Grand Prix. We had one earlier on in the year as well.
I don't think I have, no.
Okay, well, Ricardo mentions that it looked like a bit of debris just sat there, so they didn't really report it. And they just thought it was a winglet sat there. And then Grosjean goes over it, and then they all find out that it was one of these grills that have popped up. And you could see one of the marshals carrying it off the circuit, and it didn't look light, and it was very, very bent. And it is a worry because, like you say, if that had gone into the cockpit at any other angle, then I don't really want to know what would happen. It would
literally slice a car in half. I'm not talking like in that comedy lengthways, but I mean, if that struck the chassis near or behind the driver, and remember they're sitting very low down, it's going to detach the engine and everything else. All of that's going away because they're just held together by, I think, 3 bolts at the end of the day. It would have been potentially quite messy. Yeah.
So that brought out the red flag. We lost the rest of FP2 for that as well. It just, I'm wondering if there was like a little red balloon just hovering outside of it at one point. But, que sera, never saw that. The only thing from FP3 of any real thing was Max Verstappen and Palmer had a coming together. Max was going a bit slow in a slow lap, ready to hit the throttle on the next lap. Palmer was on a pretty fast lap and just got caught out. They came together, spun Max around, and Palmer lost his front wings on that.
And end of one of his wings, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just a very clumsy situation. It was
clumsy. I take issue with, because Palmer was the guy behind him effectively.
Yeah.
And starts blaming Verstappen for, what's he doing staying on the racing line, blah, 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 blah. There's a certain amount of, I can mention that in the event of an accident, the guy behind is usually to blame because you're the one that can see what's going on and you can avoid driving into him.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, Palmer, mate, you can't anticipate. You don't know what he's doing. He's doing his own thing. And again, it's practice. It's not the race. It's not qualifying.
Yeah.
I've gone around it.
I think Palmer got caught out a little bit. We've seen people drive off the circuit and another driver follow that person because they're watching the accident happen and they just end up following it by accident. And
they go straight to the scene of the accident, don't they?
And I feel that he was caught within two minds whether to go underneath him. Max was taking a wide line and then he was going to cut across and straight line that corner. And I think it just caught Palmer out. He got caught between two minds and didn't do anything about it. Locked up a wheel and fucked up his nose. So, Also, Vettel had engine issues, and he missed all of FP3, which is something to talk about in a minute in the qualifying.
Did he get out? I thought he went out once, and then it was just like nope. Or did he not set anything at all?
From what I can gather, I don't think he set anything in FP3. But they were hard at work. Trust me, they were very hard at work.
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. So, qualifying then, yeah?
Oh, yes.
As the Vettel engine thing carried on through qualifying, they had an engine rebuild, and engine rebuild, or they had engine problems?
So what they did is they replaced the combustion unit of the engine, but kept the ancillaries from a previous engine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at first we were told it was a precaution, but then it was later changed to no, they had to do it. Don't know what the ins and outs of that are. But yeah, when we got into it, they were effectively just, buttoning up the bodywork again, giving it a polish. It looked like everything was calm and in order.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. There was no stress or anything like that, was there?
Yeah.
And he went out on an installation lap, got halfway round that lap, and said that it felt like there was no turbo on there.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say it was half the lap. I think he got to turns 5 and 6. And yeah, just had to take it over, get home in limp mode, got it back to the pits. They put it on the jacks, and that was it. He was promptly... Oh, no, well...
that wasn't quite it, because at one point we thought he was going to get out, and they said, look, he's got to leave before 2 minutes is up, because it takes you 2 minutes on an outlap to get around.
And they had the man in front of him.
The man's
waiting.
out there, the tyre blankets have been undone and resting on it. They've lowered it down on the jacks. The guy's there with his hand out, listening on the radio, waiting for the go signal. And then they just say no. And apparently what happened was he was in the car, he was revving it, and the turbo died again.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So then they jack him back up again, and we have no Vettel. Vettel is starting from the back.
Not only is he starting from the back, has to get special dispensation to start because he didn't set a time within 107%.
Once again, I would like to be that person that sits there and goes, well, okay, prove to me that you would have made 107%. I would have just sat there, crossed my arms, sit back in my chair. Go on, do your best.
I think it's at that point he points to the lap record he set in Q2. FP2, sorry.
Yeah, and I would say, okay, good point, well made. Thank you very much. You were allowed in. But at least I had that power.
You have the due diligence, yes.
Okay. So that was disappointing. How were you disappointed at that? Because we felt a little
I was disappointed. The thing I was most disappointed with was he didn't actually get out. Because, like I said, I loved the drama.
Yeah. I
love the sense of, oh no, it's the last minute. Things are broken down. We've got to get things going again. They've taken it a bit. The countdown, they've got it all together. And he's got to be out within 2 minutes and things going and he's revving. And I always love, and I know this is a silly thing, but I love how you get certain shots looking down the pit lane and you get those, they're like aircraft marshals, giving the cars a signal and then just kind of pointing them down as the cars. I always love that. And the guy's there and he's ready. And then when he just goes no and he just give up, or not give up, but they realize they can't do it. That was gutting. Yeah,
I think they might have made it through if that car had been ticking over okay, and they could have got the lap in, because that's all he needed to do was one lap, bring it back in, and then he's got another 10 minutes in which to sort something out.
He'd have to do the time, and he'd have to do it faster than whoever was P15.
Yeah.
So it's not just setting a time, it's setting a time good enough to qualify for Q2. Now, apparently it's been done before where they've done a lap without a turbo.
Yeah.
And again, the Ferrari is good enough, it probably could have done, but I think there's probably that sense of, okay, something's not quite right here. It sounds like a bag of spanners, and if we push this and it goes pop, this is a bad thing. I think at that point they said, you know what, fuck it. I don't know if they did or not, but I guess they said, we'll just stick a new fucking engine in the back. Because we're at the back of the grid. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I suppose if you do push it and try to get through, you don't go through, you blow up something, then you're still in the same position you were, but in a worse position because you've now got a bag of crap in the back of your car.
Yeah, and I think after they realised they were compromised, their first thought was, okay, we can effectively have a free engine here, even if what was wrong with his engine wasn't a terminal problem with that engine. They could effectively stick a new unit in. He's at the back of the grid anyway. So, fine. Brand new engine. That'll come in useful come Suzuka. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And also this race as well. I feel that they used that new engine this race.
In fact, they did say, I'm just looking at it here, they fitted a 5th internal combustion engine, a 5th MGU-H, and a 5th turbo. So effectively a whole new system.
Yeah.
20-place grid penalty.
Really?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because he was already at the back.
Where does it say? So I've been looking for the grid penalties.
Oh, I think the problem here is he didn't technically qualify.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Well, okay, that's good. Good. Anyway, I'll get on with the rest of the Q1. We can argue that later on.
Oh, yes.
What else do we have? The people... Oh, Gasly was faster than Sainz, which was nice to see. That was good to see in Q1.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost Grosjean, Magnussen, Verline, Ericsson and Vettel. So both Haas's out.
Oh, yes. That was... What do you make of Haas at the minute? I mean, at this point, they're second half of their second season.
What engine are they... I know they got the Ferrari, but is it the old...
No, they've got a current Ferrari engine in their thing.
Difficult second album, I feel. Difficult second album, and they'll put...
No. It's the B side of the difficult second album.
Yeah, they'll put the drugs down and stop doing hallucinogenics, and next year they may come good. I think they are a mid-team team.
Oh, they're definitely midfield. They're definitely typically better than, well, obviously better than Sauber. I kind of peg them around the Toro Rosso Williams sort of area normally. Yeah. I will say this: my estimation of Grosjean and Magnussen has gone down this season.
Yeah. It seemed like a pretty fair pairing, and they're just grumpy little sods, aren't they? Now that's coming from the world's grumpiest man as well, but there's no. Grosjean was quite humble in what happened to him on the Saturday, I thought he was, or was it the Friday? No, on the Friday. And I felt he took it quite well. He was still smiling, and that was good. We've too many times seen him with a glum face going, it's not fair. And especially with brakes. And every single bloody race we get him going, oh, the brakes aren't working. Okay, right.
He's had, I mean, they've literally swapped brake manufacturers for him.
Yeah. Just drive around it now. They need to turn around and say, look, it's either pile A or pile B. Deal with it. That's what you've got.
Yeah. Everyone else manages to get around with the brakes, so...
yeah. Unless there's something fundamentally wrong in their system, but Magnussen isn't really moaning as much as Grosjean.
Yes. So, although he is moaning about different things, but that's the point.
He will moan, oh, the grass is far too green, the lines are far too white, and this tarmac I'm on is far too grey. It just blends in with the car, and I can't see my car. It's like I'm floating. Oh, no. Haas, at the moment, I'm just ignoring.
Fair enough.
They're doing my nut. Q2, nothing much happened. We lost Gasly, Sainz out-qualified Gasly, Stroll, Palmer, and Massa.
Mm-hmm.
And, nothing much happened there.
Alonso made it through by the skin of his teeth.
Did he? I cannot remember. Oh, yes, he did. Yeah, that was less than a tenth, wasn't it? Less than half a tenth, actually. Okay. And Q3, we just had Kimi Räikkönen just missing out. We had Lewis Hamilton putting it on pole. And then everyone going round again. Lewis couldn't improve on that time. Kimi
let's not underplay that pole lap from Lewis.
Oh, no, it's fantastic.
That was fucking mighty. I mean, look, we're not always his biggest fans, to be fair. But given the disadvantage the Mercedes had this weekend, and okay, Vettel was down. I mean, you can argue, would Vettel have managed to top him? Blah, blah, blah. But, again, Kimi's in that Ferrari. Kimi knows his way around it, no problems. Mm-hmm. And the Red Bulls were both mighty. And look at where Bottas is in comparison.
Yeah.
My God, that was a lap of the gods. That there was the kind of lap where, if someone asked you to recite your best laps of Formula One almost, that's a contender. Just because it came so far out of nowhere. It was like, where the fuck has that been all weekend?
But I think Bottas had a different aero package compared to Lewis. I think Bottas had the new one.
Bottas has the slightly newer one, which supposedly was supposed to be better. But Lewis didn't like it. And then Bottas, when he saw the qualifying results, decided he didn't like it. But apparently Niki Lauda and Toto Wolff were both saying that, well, they didn't like it, but we don't think the problem was the aero package. So
right. Just the circuit, I suppose. Just the circuit sweeping corners, which don't really work for the Mercedes as well as the Ferraris and the Red Bulls.
Potentially. I mean, again, it just seems like they didn't quite understand where their pace went.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that probably didn't help them, because we suddenly go, well, if the car can actually do it there, why can't it do it all the time? But that was a properly mighty lap.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And yeah, you are right. Sometimes we do them a bit of a disservice, because I think it's just because we're getting used to it. If it was Ferrari on top, we'd be like, yeah, okay, they're on pole again, blah, 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 blah. It's not that Hamilton has been on pole again and again and again. I think he's had 9 poles this season. So he's doing pretty well. But
he's doing pretty well. But I mean, again, it's just, if you look at the weekend, what everyone was saying through Q1 and Q2, they just seemed a bit lost, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of expectations and the shock, this was kind of the equivalent of Alonso suddenly rocking up in a pole.
Yeah.
It was like, the fuck did that come from?
I still think if Vettel had got out and had no engine problems, then he would have got the pole. But he did have engine problems, and so he didn't get the pole. It
is our old friend, could have, would have, should have. Because, they reckon Vettel was about 0.3 faster than Raikkonen.
Yeah.
So, he would have... He'd have gone in the sub 129s potentially.
Yeah. Which would have been amazing.
But what we say about wishes and horses and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember saying about wishes and horses, and then people are now resting in jail.
Yes, and they're no longer allowed to attend Royal Ascot.
Okay, the race. What happened before the race? Because
before the race, we didn't even get to the race before the drama really kicked off.
No. Oh, there was another bit of news I've just remembered.
Oh, okay.
Can I just do this bit of
late
news?
Breaking. We need a jingle for late breaking news.
Yeah, this was late breaking news. Did you hear about the support race?
Yes, I did. I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
I haven't seen it either. But the organisers of the Formula 4 Southeast Asian Championships have apologised after every driver retired from one of their Malaysian Grand Prix support races. They all ran out of fuel.
Now, to be fair, I didn't even know there was a Formula 4.
Nor did I. And yeah, they look like cars from Brands Hatch. They look like the crappy things that you get to do a track day on. They're horrible little things. But yeah, I just had to drop that in because I think that happened before the race.
Yes. But yes, there you go. It finally happened. A reason for Brundle to go home. All the cars failed to finish.
There we go. Okay, so before the race, it pissed down with rain as well, didn't it? It was 3 hours before the race, and it just dropped. The heavens opened and dropped it all over the circuit.
Mm-hmm. Yes, got a bit damp. But again, it had stopped with enough time that by the time we got to the race, it was dry but very green. It washed away all the rubber that had been built up.
Mm-hmm.
And, there was still some bits where, in the shade, it was still kind of damp. So
it was no way intermittent tyre weather, but they did run out of the... They took all the cars out of the pits on their expedition laps before lining up on the grid on Inters because nobody wanted to show their hand.
Yes.
Just in case, which is fine. I've got no problems in that. And they probably had a shed load of Inters just sitting there waiting to go anyway. So everyone rocked up to
may as well use them up, yeah.
Yeah, well, everyone rocked up to the grid, and they had shed loads of tyres for each and every single car there. They even had wet weather tyres out there as well. So everyone chose their tyres. And Kimi reported some battery/turbo problems on his installation lap around just before joining the grid.
Yeah.
He made it to the grid. They were working on it. And then all of a sudden, my little heart broke because once again, we were robbed again. It's not because it's Ferrari, but it's because it was a good battle just about to happen. And they wheeled him off the circuit into the pits like an embarrassed little schoolboy because his car had turbo problems. I do believe it was... no, it says battery on the wiki.
Oh, well, if Wikipedia says it, it must be true.
It must be true because it's on the internet and everything.
But, I mean, again, this was a case of... I love the drama.
Yep.
I hate that we were denied the race bit, though, because, they'd just been bigging up how the left-hand side of the track where Kimi was probably at a bit of an advantage because it was drying more so than the right-hand side where Lewis and the pole was. So it was like, okay, well, and again, teams were out there with, they weren't technically drying the track, but they might have been leaving some of the blowers on while pointing in that direction.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, it was, yeah. And again, I love the drama. I love they had the cover off. They were working on the car there. And then I think you had Ted say, oh, look, it looks like they've got it fixed. They're just buttoning it up now. And we thought, okay, great. We had some drama. That's fun. It was going to be that question mark throughout the race, but I'm up for it. But no, they wheeled it into the pits and it was just like, no.
I was like a little schoolboy just stamping my feet, crossing my arms and saying, it's not fair. It's not fair.
It was a shocker. But then again, there was still the hope that they could just get it back there and, jump it or something. But it was not meant to be.
No, they stuck at it for a little while, didn't they? A couple of laps.
A couple of laps, but then inevitably the shorts came out, the Magnum was in hand, and the game was done.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we lost Kimi Räikkönen before the red lights had dropped. So
just ice cream van jingle in the distance, and he was gone.
That's how I want him to leave. That's how I want him to leave. In an ice cream van, tinkling away into the sunset. Anyway, so yeah, I feel robbed about that because of the spectacle. We lost a spectacle there, but with that gone, we gained another spectacle. I feel with Ricciardo having no one in front of him, a straight line for him to aim at. Really, no one in front of him on the grid,
and on the already mentioned the slightly advantageous drier side.
That's right. Yeah. The start was pretty uneventful, but Bottas had definitely the best getaway.
Oh, Bottas was like someone fucking shot up his ass, wasn't he? It was like, pew!
Well, yeah, he got a good start. He followed Hamilton up until the point where the Red Bulls moved over, and then he just slotted into that position where Räikkönen would have been, and just drove around Ricciardo.
He drove around Ricciardo, and then he got into this fight with Verstappen, and Verstappen was like a dog with a bone. He was not giving that spot up at all. It's just like, literally, he was a little bulldog, and, you got it, and you're pulling it left and right, and the dog's just not having any of it. It's like, nope, this is mine.
Yeah. Definitely. I feel we should talk about Verstappen, just do his race, because there wasn't much for him to do, was there?
There was not really. I mean, so basically, yeah, he had a reasonable, he had a good start. He kept his position. Ricciardo was behind him. Lewis got in front. Then we started getting over the radio that Lewis was hitting his D limits, which means his battery was fully discharging before he got to the end of the straight. Apparently, it takes a couple of cycles before the battery finds its equilibrium or what have you. Don't know the ins and outs of it, but that seems to be the case. And as is always the case now, this is broadcast for everyone to listen to over the radio, so they knew he was vulnerable at the end of the straight.
Yeah.
So they basically just told Verstappen that, look, you've got about 4 or 5 laps to do him because he's got no power at the end there. Plus, Lewis is thinking about a championship. He's thinking Vettel's, all the way at the back, potentially going to not score any points. I'll take 18 points quite happily here.
All of a sudden, he's now counting points.
Funny that. Well, I don't think he's counting points in that respect. But again, you've got a Dutchman who's not had the best of seasons.
Yeah.
Has a sniff of a victory on his birthday weekend as well.
Yep.
And again, I think with Verstappen at this point, he gives no fucks. With Verstappen at this point, it's either a win or I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's not get between him and his. I
cannot blame Lewis for ducking out as well. He is counting the points. He's in a different phase of the season now compared to everyone else. Apart from he's in a different part of the season from everyone, even Vettel. Vettel is now chasing. He is just collecting points and trying to get over that finishing line. And I think that proved that today, especially with.
I think if you look at what happened last time out in Singapore, and also probably memories of last year in Malaysia.
Yep.
It only takes one silly little thing to cause a DNF.
Yeah. And
then again, I mean, let's face it, Malaysia cost him the championship last year.
Yes.
So I think, and again, arguably, Singapore handed him it this year.
Yeah, they lucked out that one, and I cannot deny him that.
I think, like you said, it's head's in a different place now, and it's probably a case of, well, I've got plenty of cards between me and Vettel. If I've got one in front of me, who cares?
Yeah, that's right. And coming up to the pass, because there was a pass for the lead. There was. Hang on, lap 4, I think it was.
Yep.
And Verstappen, he's got his DRS open. As we said, Hamilton's having battery issues, so he's hitting his limit. He's running out of battery before the end of the straight, and he is vulnerable. Verstappen takes it. There was a little bit of fight from Hamilton, but I don't think there was much there. It was look, if this was any other day, I'd be shutting that door and you'd be trying a lot harder. But I think Mercedes were okay. Red Bull do have the upper hand on this circuit. Ferrari definitely have the upper hand on this circuit as well. You
can kind of imagine as Verstappen goes by, Hamilton gives him the old, points at his eyeballs and then points at his. It's like, I'm watching you.
Yeah.
Any other day, son.
Yeah. Yeah. If this was the beginning of the season, I would have fought tooth and nail for that. But he gave it up. I don't want to say Lewis gave it up and gave it to him. Verstappen was well worthy of attacking him there and taking it. And it's bloody good to see a on-track pass for the lead.
Absolutely.
It's like a blue moon, isn't it?
It's like, I remember this.
Yes, it does happen. Miracles do happen.
This happened in the before times.
Yeah, but
it was great. But it was great. But again, I just think, you can't win the race on lap 4, but you can lose it. And I think with Hamilton, and they said to him, they said, look, opportunities will come along later. He knows he's hitting his D limit. He's compromised. He's probably thinking, you know what? I'll let him through, stick with him a few laps, try and pass him. But no, again, someone had a rocket up their ass. Verstappen is a guy who hasn't gotten something over a year, and he's suddenly in with a shot and he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. And he hadn't had a bump in the first lap, and so everything was a bit peculiar for him. So
it was quite. Did you see when they were doing the qualifying interview straight afterwards, which was quite funny because Lewis and Lewis and Verstappen parked in the wrong places. But they said, "So what are you looking forward to for the next race?" And Verstappen said, "I just don't want to get squeezed." And Kimi goes, "I just don't want to get hit."
Yes. Yeah. Raikkonen pulling up on that grid all on his own. It was like, oh no, nobody got the email, did they? It's just Ferrari got the email. Oh dear. But okay, so Max Verstappen, he gapped it very well as well. He was, I feel that he was controlling that gap. Lewis was also managing that gap as well. And it didn't really get huge. I think it did get up to 8 seconds at one point. He did finish 12 seconds behind him.
Yeah, it was about 10 seconds on average was the gap, I would say.
But once Verstappen
I think that
got out of the DRS, it was fine.
Yeah. Because there's no rush at that point.
No.
It's like, yeah, I'm good. But I mean, equally so, Ricciardo didn't really have a response for Hamilton.
No, he didn't. He did quite a good job on Bottas, though, didn't he? Bottas...
Oh, he mugged Bottas, but I think I think Bottas, forgive the metaphor, blew his load quite early,
right?
And was spent.
I don't think Bottas had a chance this weekend, where he had that new aero kit. It was proving a bit of a handful, that Mercedes, and I think he was just getting his head down, doing the best that he could with the equipment he got. But I don't think he was anywhere near of getting a podium. Nowhere near. No.
And again, I mean, he finished, I think, 40 seconds, I think, behind Raikkonen, I think it was, in the final thing. Behind, sorry, not Raikkonen, Ricciardo.
Yeah, about that, actually, yeah.
Looking at it here, yeah, he's a minute behind Vettel.
Verstappen.
No. Wait, when we do the times, is it from the leader or from the car behind?
That's the total time from the leader.
Okay, then. So it's a minute behind Verstappen, yeah.
Yeah, that's from the leader.
Mm-hmm.
He had a quiet race, Bottas. Daniel Ricciardo had some fight in him. He was very good throughout the race. He was struggling on tyres a little bit, and he was unable to catch Hamilton once he got rid of Bottas. He couldn't really. He could get so close, about 4 seconds, and then it was kind of like a magical buffer that he just couldn't break through.
Yeah, it was potentially. I don't think that's close enough for dirty air to be playing into it, but it just. And maybe when it got to that point, Lewis would just turn the wick up a little bit or what have you. But that was pretty much where he was on pace.
Yeah. At the end of the first lap, is there anything else to say about Daniel Ricciardo? I suppose there is a little bit, isn't there? Because he had, towards the end of the race, he had Vettel screaming down his neck.
Oh, yeah, towards the end, Vettel. Well, for a little bit. I mean, just talking. Do you want to talk about Vettel or should we talk about Ricciardo?
Should we talk about Vettel getting up to the point of Ricciardo and then we'll speak about what happened between them?
Well, I mean, basically Vettel had he fought his way up from the back of the grid. Very respectable. It was pretty clean. We had some fun and games with Alonso at one point.
Yep.
Which I love the interview after the race when they got to Alonso and say, so did you hear what Vettel said? And Alonso was like, let me guess, was it blue flags? And it's like, well, yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, what happened was Vettel's fighting his way through and then he got behind Alonso. He basically carved his way through in like the first 2 or 3 laps until he got to Alonso and then he had to work his way past Alonso.
He was 13th at the end of lap 1.
He was. And again, he got past Alonso. And then later on, he's coming to lap Alonso. And there's, was it when he was chasing Ricciardo?
Yeah, it was chasing Ricciardo, and Alonso shut the door on him.
Alonso effectively shut the door on him. Coming into, was it turn 1?
Yeah, it was into turn 1.
Turn 1. And I think for 2 or 3 corners kept him there and then just jumped out of the way. And Vettel was like, oh, come on, man. What the hell?
I thought you were better than that.
I thought you were better than that.
He is better than that.
Yeah, he is. He is a lot better than that. And again, arguably Alonso just had to take the line at that point to get through the corner. He's still doing his race.
Yeah.
Arguably he didn't see Vettel because once he did see him, he jumped out of the way. Or arguably he's just trolling you because he can, because he's Alonso. I like to think it's that last one.
Do you reckon it was? It could be, yeah, because it's Ferrari.
I reckon it was, because when they said, did you hear what he said? He goes, let me guess, was it blue flags, blue flags? Yeah, he was having some fun, I reckon.
He was fucking with him, wasn't he? He definitely was.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was that. But, yeah, I mean, Vettel carved. I mean, again, to show just how good that Ferrari was, it ended up finishing fourth. And at one point was knocking on the door third. It got right up to Ricciardo. And then he only really had one good lunge, wasn't it?
Yes.
Into turn one again?
It was kind of the only opportunity he had. Everything was built up to that point. If he'd got past him, then I think he would have held him off. Yeah.
But he had one lunge, didn't work. Ricciardo was wise to it, positioned his car beautifully.
I don't know. I've got questions about Ricciardo and his trying to break the toe / weaving.
Now, have at you, sir.
Okay, well, we've had this in the past where people have tried to break the toe. If you can't hear my air quotes there, then okay, here it is again. Break the toe. And I get the idea of breaking the toe. I get it, but if you had everyone do it, then you'd have cars off left, right, and centre because it's fundamentally dangerous. Moving in the braking zone is a no-no as well. And Ricciardo, he was trying to break the toe, but also I don't think that's cricket. I really don't. I've never really agreed with it. You kind of have to suck it. You can move once, but breaking the toe is kind of just weaving all over the place, and I don't agree with that. And when it came to the final corner and the actual lunge itself, I felt Ricciardo just was a bit cheeky and blocks him ever so slightly. Now, I'm not trying to stick up for Vettel and do down Ricciardo because I flipping love Ricciardo. Formula One needs Ricciardo more than Ricciardo needs Formula One, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching it now on the TV, and yeah, he moves in the braking zone ever so slightly, and I think that's a bit cheeky. And once that was done, then I think...
You see, I'm watching it now because it's on the YouTube. In fact, I can even send it to you. I will stick this in the chat for you, sir.
Right.
Here you go. And the bit you want is about 3 minutes 55.
I've got it on the big screen.
Okay, well, so I'm watching this now, and okay, he's arguably lazily weaving down the main straight.
No, he was definitely weaving.
No, he is weaving, but I'm not saying he's like back and forth like he's warming up his tyres. These are lazy weaves, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just watching him come up to the corner.
He does move.
But you see, I don't think he's moving in the braking area. He's already committed once they enter the braking area at that point. And look, this is just me. I hate the no weaving, no doing that rule. I mean, I know why it's there. It's down to there because they know these cars are shit at overtaking. That is purely it. It's like, no, you can't defend too hard because the cars are already shit at overtaking. And if you defend like you're supposed to, they'll never get past you. I understand why that's there. I'm of the opinion, fix the fucking car zero and let them do what they want to do. I want to go back to the days of Senna just literally weaving down the straight. You want to get by me? Fuck off.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with that because it's an open wheel. And once them two wheels touch each other, then you're throwing a car up in the air.
Again, then the problems with it is I am of the opinion, pure racing, as Senna famously said, it should be the car should get out of the way of the drivers doing everything they can to beat the other person, to succeed, to win.
Yeah. I
want you to look, if you say, oh, you can't do that because if these two wheels touch like that, there's an accident. Well, then the problems with the wheels like that.
Mm.
If you turn around and you say, oh, well, you can't do the weaving because the cars can't overtake, well, then you fix the aero so they can do it. I want everything which stops the drivers going tooth and nail, full hammer tongs, balls to the wall racing.
Mm-hmm.
I want every single thing which stops that happening taken out. And that's just my view. Again, I know I'm in the minority there, as evidenced by the 17 volumes of regulations we have over what you can and cannot do.
Yeah.
It comes back to when you watch really good drivers at a karting race. Have you ever done that? Like watch karting?
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Because, they're too young to really know 1,000,001 rules and regulations. All they know is there's someone in front of me. I must get past them.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. And I mean, looking at that, I don't think he was moving in the braking zone. I think he moved into the braking zone.
Okay.
And again, when you say weaving, I don't think it's weaving in the way I view weaving. I view weaving is kind of like what they're doing when they're doing the tire warms up. It's like the guy behind you moves, you instantly move again. The guy behind you moves, you instantly move back again. He is trying to break the toe because he's moving before Vettel is moving. You see, Vettel isn't committed to a move, but Ricciardo's moving back and forward, and Vettel's trying to stay. Again, trying to get that toe to come up. So Ricciardo's not doing anything to stop Vettel going the other way or doing anything. All he's trying to do is stop him getting that aerodynamic advantage. And then he makes his one move in defense when he goes into the braking zone. It might be a letter of the law over the spirit thing.
Yeah.
But I'm of the opinion that the letter of the law is wrong. So I don't have a problem with it.
Look, I get it. I kind of agree with you, but I've lambasted other people for doing this prior, and I just feel I've got to stick to my guns. I've done it before, so I've got to do it again. Even though it's on a drive, it's on a drive that I really like.
Flip flop, you'll feel so much better afterwards. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well, at least we've got different opinions on that. I feel that's good. Anyway, after that, Vettel had an overheating car. He had to back off a little bit. He was arguing with these engineers about it as well, saying, "Oh, let me just go for it." And they were like, "No, turn that wick down ever so slightly."
I think they were saying we've already broken 2 Ferrari engines this weekend.
Yeah, and you need this one for the rest of the season.
Yes.
Yeah, and Suzuka, where it's a power circuit, so yeah, you're going to need the best of it over there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Ricciardo ended up finishing third. Vettel was fourth. I thought that is the best that he could have. Maybe third. I wasn't expecting him to get a win out of this, but coming from the back, I feel that he has rescued the qualifying. He's rescued that point there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you said to him yesterday once, he was out, but look, you can have 4th place, he'd have probably had your arm off.
If he'd started from, let's say, the top 4, would he have won that race?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So we're under no doubt that the Ferrari was the best car around this circuit.
No, I think, the Ferrari package this week, all weekend, it has been on fire. It's been the best package there. And again, at this point of the season, there's no question Vettel is the number 1 driver.
Yeah.
He's the most comfortable in the team, I think. And yeah, he would have, hell, never mind in the top 4, anyway, in the top 10, he'd have probably still won.
Yeah.
Because the only person I legitimately think would give him grief would have been Verstappen.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe Hamilton. I think Hamilton certainly would have defended a lot tougher. But Verstappen, again, would give no fucks. I'm either going to be in front of you or we're both going to be out.
Yeah.
That's the kind of position. I mean, Verstappen would have moved into braking. I mean, that's why they had that stupid rule last year, the Verstappen rule, which I'm glad has gotten rid of now. But yeah, did you watch the Formula One show this week?
No, I didn't know.
Someone put forward the thought that Vettel's actually afraid of Verstappen.
Oh, I heard about this. Yes.
Yeah.
Going into the first corner in Singapore.
Yeah. Just in so much as and not just there, we've seen it throughout the season. Whenever they get on the same bit of tarmac, shenanigans tend to ensue.
Yeah.
And again, when you're fighting for a championship, the last thing you want is shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because I enjoy saying shenanigans.
It is a good word. Well done.
It's a lot of fun. I like it, yeah.
Okay, so we've done Vettel. I thought he driver of the day. I'm going to say driver of the day because he's worked his way up through from the back up to fourth.
You see, I get what you're saying there. I'd put it with probably Verstappen, just as an imperious drive. And the only reason I won't give it to Vettel is because the car was that fucking good. I mean, basically, there were only 3 cars that were better than him. Well, 2 cars that were better, the Red Bull and the Mercedes. Mm-hmm. And he got by Bottas, fair enough. But if he'd qualified, if he'd been anywhere other than fourth, I'd have been disappointed with him.
Okay. So you expected it. Okay.
To just given how strong that car was.
Yeah. Bottas had a very quiet race, as we said before, so he just took up a position, really, didn't he?
Once he was behind Ricciardo, he could no longer play rear gunner for Lewis.
Yeah.
But in the end, he didn't really need to.
Yeah, Perez was quite quiet. Vettel struggled to pass him at one point, but he saved his way through. One person I did want to talk about is Van Dorn.
Oh, yes.
And there was a situation where Massa and Stroll were fighting over position. I think Massa did the undercut on Stroll, ended up coming out in front of him. And Van Dorn was doing his pit stop at the same time, came out just in front of the Williams, where Stroll was overtaking Massa, and it could have got very, very messy very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. It didn't. Luckily enough, nobody touched each other. But what surprised me was because Williams seemed to have an upgraded engine, which confuses me because I thought everyone had to have equal machinery, which obviously that's a rule that's been changed this season.
This is the updated Mercedes engine that Mercedes had in Singapore.
Yeah, I thought all the teams had to be equal.
No, they don't have to be. Well, they're given they are given the engine as in it's part of their allocation, but they can choose when they take it.
Oh, okay, fair play.
Because it still counts as one of their 4 engines or whatever they're meant to take.
Right.
So they didn't take it last time out; they took it this time. So when they say an upgraded engine, what they're basically saying is we're now on a par with where Force India and Mercedes were at, assuming they took their engines last time out.
But so they had that engine there to take, they chose not to take it, and now they have taken it. Okay, fine. Well, then that makes perfect sense. I've got no problems with that whatsoever. The interesting part of that is once Van Dorn was in front of the Williams, he pulled away from the Williams.
I know, I was shocked too.
And was never troubled by them ever again.
I will say the Williams seemed to be a bit messy. They were tripping over each other in so much as I believe that that pass that they were doing when he came out was a position swap. It wasn't an overtake. They were swapping position.
It didn't look like one.
It didn't look like one, but someone said that them swapping position is what gave Van Dorn the position. And it's like, well, there was probably a better time to do that than right there. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, at one point he was running in 5th, which was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For a McLaren, which is a terrible thing to have to say these days. Although there was that great bit where Brundle goes, Williams and McLaren are fighting. What is this, the mid-90s?
Yeah, it does feel like it. It does feel like it. Okay, who else do we have? Ocon and Sainz had a little bump into T1.
Yeah, and didn't crash.
Well, yeah, there was a bit of a bump.
Oh no, it was Ocon and Perez. Sorry, that was they said they bumped, but they didn't take each other out.
Oh, that's at the very beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and then they hit a Williams. I think it was Stroll that they hit.
I think so. Yeah, but again, there was no real damage, and I think Ocon pitted because he had a puncture. So he
Yeah, he also had front end plate damage as well, but they didn't bother changing the nose because it wasn't causing that much problem. But okay, Ocon and Sainz, it was a case of Sainz. Ocon went round the outside of Sainz into turn one. Sainz turned in, but then Ocon turned in even more, bumped into him and spat him out. And it sent Ocon spinning. He had to recover from that. But he still ended up 10th. There was an argument with Sainz as to whose corner was it. I don't know.
Oh, did you hear the Red Bull guy tossed?
Yeah.
Saying, it's clearly Ocon's fault. Brundle's going, well, not really, because he has to go into the corner at some point.
Yeah, Toss has to say that though. He's gonna say that. He's gonna defend his driver, and I'm glad that we heard that on the radio. That was good.
Yeah, it was funny.
You could hear the passion. He was like, "No, my driver was right," and Martin was, "No, my driver was right." It didn't really matter for Sainz because he ended up breaking down a couple of laps later. He had engine problems, so that was all done and dusted with him. One other thing, I think there was nothing else really to talk about, but Mr. Jolyon Palmer.
Oh, Mr. Palmer. Oh, please, sir. How did he do, sir?
Would you like to know what happened with him?
Yes, do tell. Did he finish fantastically well in the points?
Well, he was going round a corner and he got blown out of position. He spun because the wind blew.
Wow, wow.
He was coming out of turn 14, I think it was, and we caught the tail end of it, and he was kind of sideways.
Much like he did.
Yeah. And his excuse for spinning was the wind blew, and so it spun him. Almost, I'd imagine it would be the same as when he was on the swings last week and his dad was pushing him and he was going, higher, daddy, higher. And, oh no, that's too high. That's too high. And yeah, he probably just got a gust of wind. And bearing in mind, there's 18 other drivers out there that didn't get affected by the wind or didn't get this wind. So very bizarre.
Well, he spun twice, didn't he, Palmer?
He did. That was the first occasion. And then who did he bump into? Was it Hulkenberg?
I don't think so.
No, it wasn't Hulkenberg.
No, Hulkenberg was having problems with something.
I think it was a Haas. Was it Magnussen?
Possibly. Ooh! Best bit of radio chatter we haven't mentioned, but I'll do in a second.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he spun again as well, and it's just embarrassing at this point.
It is, yeah. It is.
I mean, did you see on the TV? It showed a picture of his dad, and it was just like
that was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant because you could see his face going, oh, and you could almost see his face going red from the chin upwards, going blub 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 blub. Yeah. And he looked.
I could picture you just swearing at the screen when it happened.
I was laughing my arse off. I found that hilarious because it was just grumpy dad, wasn't it? My son has screwed up, but no, it was someone else's fault. He's been shoved off. And you're just thinking, oh, God, just go from Formula One. Just go from Formula. I'm done now. I can't take
we didn't report this because it isn't really news, but apparently he's looking towards IndyCar for next season.
Jolyon Palmer?
Yeah.
IndyCar?
Yes.
Anyway. No, I'm not having that. He's not going IndyCar. No way.
Maybe Super Formula. Anyway, yes, the best bit of radio chatter. Alonso was having a fight with Magnussen. And they went into turn one, I think it is. And again, Alonso, he's a bit punchy when he's got to move on sort of thing. And he runs Magnussen a little bit wide out there after a bit of back and forth there. I think Magnussen ran him out before that. And then Alonso goes over the radio going, what an idiot. Hulkenberg is right.
I didn't hear him say that. I heard him calling him an idiot, but I would love them to be able to cross over channels and actually speak to each other. Oh, that would be brilliant. I think there's something in that somewhere.
Oh, yes.
Put me through. Put me through to the Haas.
Wait. Just fit horns to the cars. It's fine.
Horns.
Bom, bom.
And Jolyon Palmer have.
The Alonso have like a garaja.
He probably would, yeah. Oh God, now we could go through the whole thing.
Maybe later.
No, not now. Not now.
Anyway, I think as far as the race goes, that's everything.
Okay. Well, shall I run down the top 10 and then we can do we can do the slight afters?
Oh, I was going to say because that's only as far as the race goes.
Yeah. I'll run down the top 10. We had Max Verstappen winning his second Grand Prix ever, which was
I'm shocked
superb.
that's only his second win. I honestly thought he'd won more than that.
No, it's Spain and then this.
As someone else pointed out, he wins every time Kvyat's replaced.
Yes. So he should be winning next time out as well then.
Well, no. So it's only when it's actually replaced. So he needs to be brought back and then replaced, and then he'll win that time. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Maybe Toro Rosso should fuck around with him for a little bit and then do it halfway through the season. Yeah, you're coming back. Oh, no. No, go away. Hamilton was second. Daniel Ricciardo was third. Sebastian Vettel was a mighty fourth. I know I'm going to get... We've gone off Alonso. We haven't been gushing over him. I sound like I'm gushing over Vettel. I'm not. But, I thought he'd done a superb job. Bottas was a very quiet fifth. Perez was sixth. Van Dorn was seventh, picking up more points for McLaren. Who else do we have? Stroll was eighth. Massa was ninth. And Esteban Ocon, who I thought had a pretty good race, even though he did get punted out. I think he's looking good. I think he's good for the future. He was in 10th position. So there we go. And only two retirements, Kimi Räikkönen and Carlos Sainz.
Yes.
So.
But wait, there's more.
What happened?
Your driver of the day, your new crush.
Yeah.
Your Sebastian Vettel, did suddenly end up with 3 wheels on his wagon. Now, I'm pretty sure he had 4 when he crossed the finish line, but when we saw him next, there were 3. Pray, what happened?
Well, I had a panic because all of a sudden on our screen we had a Ferrari with a right-left wheel missing, didn't we?
Oh, it wasn't missing.
Oh, no, it was there. It was kind of where
it happened. It was on the left-hand side now, but it was there.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. It was the passenger side rear wheel was over touching the driver's side rear wheel for some bizarre reason. And I had a panic that, oh God, he hasn't even made it to the finish. He's lost all them points for no reason. And I want him to get the points just to make the championship exciting. At this point, I'm conceding that Hamilton has probably won the title, but I want a good run in. I don't want 4 races where nothing's to fight for. I don't want that. Nobody wants that. So, yeah, he's lost the wheel on the slowdown lap. And it turns out that him and Stroll have had a little fisticuffs on turn 5.
A little bumpety bump, as they might say.
The cars were making sweet, sweet love in the corners.
Oh, yeah.
And Vettel was out collecting rubber. Oh, misses.
Misses indeed.
And they bumped into each other. It broke the suspension clean off of Vettel's car, throwing his wheel over the back. And he couldn't make it back to the Parc Fermé. Stroll said that Vettel pulled in on him. Vettel said that Stroll pulled out onto him. And really, we're none the wiser. There wasn't on board from Stroll. There was other views. I think it was from Perez, who was behind Stroll. And it looks like Stroll goes to the outside to pick up rubber and completely doesn't maybe Vettel was in a blind spot and bumped into him. Vettel also looks like he kind of cuts in on the corner ever so slightly, misjudges it. It was just an embarrassment, I feel. It was clumsy. It was ill thought out. It was stupid. And yeah, it's just embarrassing for everyone involved, I feel.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did briefly see the other angle, the Stroll one. I mean, if you go on that link I sent you to about 5.5 minutes,
Yep.
you can see the onboard from Vettel. So he's gone on the outside. He's picking up rubber, as you do. But he's clearly turning into the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mentioned this earlier when we were talking about Palmer. Look, if you're the car behind, you kind of have the responsibility to avoid the collision. I'm sorry, you just do. You can see the car's there. You can see it's going around the corner, and you're on the fucking slowdown lap. Maybe stay on the outside for this corner because you're just picking up rubber and shit anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's fine. And again, looking at it from this angle, it doesn't look like Stroll is moving out at all. It definitely looks like Vettel's moving into the corner.
Yeah.
Now.
Oh, he does.
He
He definitely does.
Yeah. Now, the message I sent you was, is Sebastian Vettel going to the Donald J. Trump School of Fake News? Because he gives an interview afterwards where he literally says, I'm out there minding my own business and Stroll just turns into me.
Oh.
What the hell? Is he not paying attention? And I'm like watching this clip here and I'm like, fake news, fake news.
But Vettel has previous on this. Remember, he was turning around and saying that Hamilton was brake testing him in Azerbaijan.
I know. It's almost like the man has problems when reality doesn't conform to his view of events.
Exactly.
The stupid thing here is, as you've already mentioned, it was clumsy, it's unnecessary, and it's potentially fucked him for Japan because we don't yet know if there's been damage done to his gearbox. Which will be a 5-place grid penalty unless it just happened to be the last race that gearbox was supposed to do.
I don't know. I don't know where they are at the moment.
No, but I'll tell you what. I mean, even if look, basically they tore a drive shaft out of that gearbox because if you look at that wheel, the drive shaft's still attached to it.
Yeah, that is. Yeah,
that came out of the gearbox.
He wasn't even coasting when he hit. He was driving the car. He had his foot on the accelerator, driving it.
It was straight up. It was the clumsiest thing I'd seen since Jolie and Palmer. It was, yeah. and it probably equally as unnecessary as he is. It's just like, why did you do it, Vettel? And
what is going on
with Vettel?
With Vettel, because he's at the beginning of the season he was doing well. He won the first race. He was in command. He was leading the championship. And it was all looking good for him, right? And now a couple of clumsy weeks and Azerbaijan as well. And I'm sure there's a couple other things, even Silverstone as well. It just, come on, man. Do you want this title or not?
Well, look, there's definitely form here because going all the way back to, say, Multi-21 and shit like this, Vettel is look, Vettel can race. No one is arguing that. Vettel can pass as well.
Oh, people would argue that.
They can argue it, but look, I'm not. I'm saying he can. But I will say this about Vettel. Vettel is a driver who likes to lead from the front.
Mm.
He likes to be able to get away. And he likes the season to go his way. He can deal with a bad day here and there. But once he's got a sniff of it, he doesn't like that. Now, someone made a quote, I think it was around the time of the British Grand Prix. And every time Vettel has led a championship, he's gone on to win it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, again, still 5 races to go?
Yep.
But it's looking less likely right now. And I think that's just getting into his head. And we've seen it. When people get into his head, he makes silly mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what you're seeing here. because this was just a fucking stupid, unnecessary mistake. If that's cost him a sodding gearbox for Japan, so whatever happens, the best he could potentially qualify is 5th, assuming no other damage.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just somewhat foolish, one would say.
Or you could turn around and say that Ferrari and he especially have had all their bad luck within 2 races, and now they should be plain sailing towards the end of the season. It doesn't work like that, though, does it? Because there will be shit around the corner. But then again, Hamilton hasn't had much in the way of bad luck. He had Azerbaijan, obviously. I'm trying to think
if you remember last year, if Hamilton didn't have bad luck, he'd have had no luck at all.
Yes,
it's just the way it happens.
Well, he had the opinion that Mercedes were against him.
Yes, but that's because in that particular instance, he was a paranoid fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's this was unnecessary, and although the stewards decided no further action, I'm putting the blame firmly on one Mr. S. Vettel.
Do you know what? Yeah. Yes. Okay. I think. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's just blame Phil. Fuck it.
No. Fight your corner. Do it.
No. That's the thing. I'm not fighting the corner. I think that maybe Stroll just went. He looked after he had already manoeuvred. Maybe. And by the time you've already manoeuvred, then you've already bumped into the car. And
you say that. These are the best drivers on the planet. I mean, did you see how quickly Bottas changed direction at that start?
Yes.
Fine. If he manoeuvred before looking, then Vettel, with his as a 4-time world champion, second in the current championship standings, one of the best drivers on the grid, surely should have been able to avoid a slowly drifting Williams.
Well, all I'm saying on that is it is the slowdown lap. People are just picking up rubber. There's always rubber around the next corner that you can pick up. And the race is over. You can all breathe a sigh of relief. The stress is now over. I'll just go pick up rubber from over there. Oh shit, there's a Ferrari in my way. And
I'll say this though. Fucking Williams must be built like a fucking Challenger tank.
Yeah, what happened there? There was no damage whatsoever, was there?
It destroyed like the entire rear quarter of a Ferrari, and the Williams is all 4 wheels still pointing in the same direction.
Yeah.
Didn't even look like there was front wing damage. It's like, nope, I'm fine.
All I can think of is that, well, it sent Vettel up in the air, didn't it? He went up in the air. Stroll didn't. And so the rear wheel was just gone to try and go over the front wheel. And so that's what's ripped it off completely. Just a wrong angle. The force has been applied to on that suspension. And then, you can see the drive shaft in there. It's just, oh, for fuck's sake. But there we go. Mm-hmm. So there's nobody has been told off for that. There's been no penalty points applied for this. I thought it was a very sensible weekend from the stewards.
Oh yeah, very, very much hands off, which is as I think it should be. I always think that if the stewards decide they have to issue a penalty, it's 'cause you done fucked up, son. Clearly, it's like, not only did you make an accident or miscalculation, you did something with malice of intent.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, anything else to say on the race at all?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay, cool. Do you want to do the drivers and I'll do the constructors?
Yeah, sure. I know you're changing positions, but 5th is Kimi Räikkönen with 138. 4th is Danny Ricciardo with 177. 3rd is Vitaly Bottas with 222. 2nd is Sebastian Vettel with 247. And now 35 points in the lead. One Mr. L. Hamilton with 281.
Excellent. And the constructors, we have Williams in 5th with 65 points. Then, as Andy says, a bit of a gap to 4th for Force India with 133 points. Red Bull are in third position with 270 points. Ferrari hold second position with 385 points. And Mercedes have a huge amount of points with 503 points.
I mean, they've effectively won basically, for Ferrari to overtake them now, Mercedes have to DNF in every single race still to come, and Ferrari have to finish first and second, I believe.
Right. So that's all done and dusted then?
Yeah.
Okay. Drew, do you reckon it's 115 points between Ferrari and Red Bull? That's doable, isn't it?
Yeah. Potentially, yeah.
It's mathematically doable.
Yeah.
Do you think they got any chance of doing that whatsoever? I don't think they have, but it's nice to think about anyway.
Yeah. I mean, again, it kind of depends more on the specific circuits that are coming up and who favours what and everything. Mm-hmm. Plus, typically, the Red Bulls both tend to finish. No, they don't actually, because Verstappen doesn't finish. So you've got Verstappen on the Red Bull side and Raikkonen on the other side. So yeah, no, it's pretty even Stevens. I think Ferrari's a safe second though.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yep.
Okay, right. Let's get on to our predictions from last time.
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, contract stipulates I have to ask you this question. Do you remember what you put down for last time?
No.
Okay, so pole position. You went for Verstappen.
Ah.
No points for you, sir. I went for Hamilton. 1 point for me.
Ah, well played.
Bravo to me. Bravo to me.
Yes.
The race, you went for Hamilton.
I did?
Yes, you did.
How foolish of me.
Because I went for Vettel.
Oh, well, how foolish of you.
How foolish of both of us. So no
Yes.
points for that whatsoever.
No.
The third column was grid penalties. How many grid penalties would be applied before this race?
Right.
And it was nearest the pin. And as far as I can see on the wiki, there are none applied.
I think this time so one was applied, but it was applied to a driver who did not qualify.
Okay, so let's say how many positions would he have had anyway?
It was a 20-place grid penalty for the components he changed.
Okay. Do you remember the number that you went for on this?
I do not.
Okay, you went for 21.
Oh, right.
Because you were trying to scupper me, because I went for 20.
Oh, well, you are right on the pin.
Bang
Except that, does it count because he didn't qualify?
Well, then none were applied. Then I'm still nearest the pin, so I still get the point.
It's fine, you can have a point. Because I've been wondering, am I now so far ahead you can't catch me?
Well, you'd like to say that, wouldn't you? So how many rounds do we have left? Is it?
Well, I think there's 4 rounds left at this point. I'm just going to quickly check. We've got still to come. No, it's 5. It's the Japanese, the United States, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. Assuming we do 3 points per race.
Mm-hmm.
That's what? 15?
15 points up for grabs.
Yes.
At least.
Okay.
Well, you saying that, you are ahead at the moment, still on 20 points. I miscalculated. I have 14.
When he says miscalculated, he means quickly just fiddled the scores.
Okay, well, at the end of, I think the last episode, I said I had 11 points. I had 12 points because I forgot to add the third tier on there. So I have 12 points before this race. I now have 14 points. So I'm still 6 behind you.
Right. So all to play for then.
Do you know, it's
the Drivers' Championship, not the Constructors here.
Yes, you are Hamilton out front. I am Vettel snapping at your toes.
Does that mean you're going to trip down the stairs or something after you finish recording the cast?
Yeah, I'll probably break my leg for some stupid reason, trying to catch a moth at some point. So, yes, I'm 6 points behind you and going into Japan. So there we go.
Would you like some stats for Japan?
Well, Japan is next race out, isn't it?
It is next weekend.
Next weekend. Excellent. And I love Japan.
I love
Japan.
Suzuka. Oh, yes.
Love it. I love the fact that it's early in the morning. I get to watch qualifying, and then I've got the rest of the day. I get to watch the race and have the rest of the day. And it's just a bit of quiet time in the morning. I can have my breakfast while I watch it. Flipping love it.
Nice. Well then, let me give you some stats.
Go on in.
From 2016, pole position was Nico Rosberg. And the podium was Rosberg from Verstappen from Hamilton, with a fastest lap from Sebastian Vettel. And to just give you some form in general, most wins, Michael Schumacher with 6, then Vettel with 4, Hamilton with 3, and then a load of drivers with 2. As far as constructors goes, McLaren has 9, Ferrari 7, Red Bull 4, and Mercedes 3.
Sounds good. So, since I'm snapping at your heels and behind, I get to go first, yeah? I think that's what we've accepted, isn't it?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, right, pole position. Who do I want for pole? Who do I want for pole and who do I think will get pole?
Yeah, I think that's a fair clarification to make.
Okay, I would like Kimi Räikkönen.
Yes.
I think Vettel will get the pole, though.
Okay.
What about yourself, sir?
Well, if you've gone with Vettel, I'll go with Hamilton.
You're going with Hamilton, yeah? Okay, race. I think Ferrari have had all their bad luck. Oh, no, don't say that just yet. I'm going to go with Räikkönen. Yep, I'm going with Kimi for the win.
Okay.
So that leaves the whole grid.
Oh, I'm going to go with Hamilton. I'm playing to win now. Yeah, fuck it. I'm playing to win, motherfucker. Can I, in a uncharacteristic moment of possible charity, give you the option to maybe rethink your answer for pole based off of a possible, nay, probable gearbox damage Vettel will have had?
Oh, gee.
You don't have to. You can say no. I'm sticking with my guns. I think he's still going to do it. I'm just giving you a possible out.
Wait, okay, right. The thing is, am I playing to win or am I always have this problem.
To win.
I know, but I have this problem. I've done the Final Fantasy Formula 1 thing in the past, and it's always bitten me because I always choose drivers I like and drivers I want to see do well instead of going for my head.
We both do that as well, especially when it comes to like Ricciardo. Like if he's in with a sniff of a victory, we tend to go for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Vettel, I'm hoping he doesn't have a gearbox change. The problem is, I don't see Kimi Räikkönen getting pole position over Hamilton or anyone else. I don't think he has that cutting edge anymore for the pole position.
You don't think the Red Bulls might upset it? I can give you the grid from last year if you like, the starting grid.
Well, if there was going to be, it would be Verstappen out of the two because I think he's got the head-to-head on Ricciardo, hasn't he?
Okay, so I'll give you the top 10 last year in qualifying. From 10, it was Gutierrez in the Haas, Hülkenberg in the Force India, Grosjean in the Haas, Perez in the Force India, Ricciardo in the Red Bull, Verstappen in the Red Bull, Vettel in the Ferrari, Räikkönen in the Ferrari, and then Lewis, and then Nico.
So 2x2.
Pretty much from 6 onwards, it was 2x2.
Oh, flipping hell. It all depends on if he's got this gearbox problem. That's the thing.
Hey, mate, you pay your money, it takes your choice. You've already made your choice. it is merely through the goodness of my heart I'm giving you this out.
I'm sticking with it, because if I change, yeah. But then again, Mythbusters say you always should change, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Oh, nuts.
But I've already taken Hamilton, so you can't have him.
I can't, no. No, I'm sticking with it. Yeah. Okay,
cool.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Vettel and Kimi.
All right, mate. Respect.
Third tier. What should we do for the third tier?
Ooh. What should we do for the third tier? How about we do... Where's Gasly going to qualify? Or finish, either way. Because it's his... He's the new boy.
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, okay. So...
What do you want to do? Do you want to do qualifying and... So we'll put 2 points for this one, eh?
Okay, yeah.
You can double dip.
So the Gasly gamble.
Yes, the Gasly gamble, yes.
Okay, so qualifying and race. Oh, interesting. He will qualify. Hang on, let me get up where
Well,
I
tell you what. Let's make this a bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless you want to, so we can either try and get his spot, or do we just say in relation to Carlos Sainz?
Oh, no,
I'm happy. I'm happy just saying where position wise, because it's wide open, then, isn't it?
Let's go position.
Okay.
Okay. He qualified 15th this race, and he finished 14th. Oh, flipping hell, man. Okay, I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to say qualify 14th, finish 15th.
Okay. I'm going to say qualifies... Ooh. So last time out, 2016, the Toro Rossos were 13th and 17th. Now that's in the race, sorry. They qualified 13th and 14th. So I'm going to reckon... I'm going to say 13th.
Qualify 13th, yeah?
Qualify 13th, yeah.
Okay. And the race?
In the race, I think... Assuming it's a dry race? Yeah, let's assume a dry race. I think he's going to get... I'll say 15th.
15th. Okay. That's the same as me, but that's fine.
Oh, wait.
No,
I didn't realise you... No, I'm not having a sap. We're not sharing points, sir. No, sir. I revised my target. I'll put him at 16th.
Oh, that means I have to scribble that out. I've made it very messy, but... Okay,
right,
16th.
You've got the eraser there.
Oh, what, the blue eraser on the ones that don't do ink?
The magic ones which erase ink. So the legend to say.
Yeah. They tear through the paper and time themselves. Okay, so you're going for 13th and 16th. I'm 14th and 15th. Wow. Okay, fine. And there is no nearest the pin. This is bang on or nothing at all, yeah?
Yep.
Okay,
it's
cool.
Bang on. You've got to be where we say.
Yeah. We're going to have to get listeners involved in this at some point, I feel.
Right, if listeners want to take part,
let us know.
Email us. You've heard what the question is. It's where does Gasly qualify and finish? And also your bets for pole. Send them to us. We'll read them out at the beginning of the show. And then, when we get to it, when you get the points.
Yep.
And you will get as much prizes as we get for getting the points. Tell them what they can win, Elton.
A field of nothing, really.
Yay! A whole field of it as well.
Yeah. Speaking of emails and stuff like that, you can tweet the show and email the show. A bit like Mr. Lee Harvey did. He actually sent an email in about this race. And he said it was an awesome race. He thoroughly enjoyed the race. He says, see what happens on the first corner when you take the nutball Ferrari drivers out. No crashes at all. Can't really argue with that.
We should point out Mr. Lee Harvey does have something of a tradition of trolling Elton.
Well, he's the Black Dog resident troll anyway.
He is. Yes.
So, yes, he sent his email to boxboxbox@grandprixpodcast.com. So if you have any thoughts on the Japanese Grand Prix, either qualifying or the race itself, then please send your thoughts over to there before we record. Or you can tweet Grand Prix Pod on Twitter as well. We also have a Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/Grand Prix Podcast. And you can see all the shenanigans that go on over there. There we go. Right, okay. Everyone's had my thoughts on the Japanese Grand Prix. What about yours?
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I love Suzuka. Suzuka's it's one of my all-time favourite circuits. It's the classic, going all the way back to the late 80s, early 90s. I love a figure of eight, going under the tunnel and everything. 130R. It's just classic. It as we said at the top of the show, if they were to do the whole core races, would be air quotes, and then others dropped in and out, this would definitely be a core race for me.
No doubt about. Yeah. That would be one of the first on the list.
Yes.
Good man. Good. Okay, so looking forward to the Grand Prix next weekend. In the meantime, after people have listened to this, can they hear you in any other shape or form on the internet whatsoever?
Of course they can. They can hear me with your good self on the Band of Brothers podcast, which we alluded to earlier. And you can find me at Space.Jury with Pete and Lee. You can find them on YouTube. On YouTube and iTunes and on Facebook. Just type Space.Jury. It's out there. You've grown up, so you know how to use Google. You don't need me holding your hands here.
Good man. You can also catch me on ShonkyLab, which is shonkylab.com. That's also part of the RogueTwoMedia thing as well. So you can pop along there. And I think last time out, we're shouting at clouds with my good friends. And Andy pops along and shouts at a cloud or two.
I shouted particularly loudly at that cloud, yes.
Definitely did, yeah. And also the Black Dog podcast, you can catch myself, Mr. Jim Moon, Mr. Darren Barnard, and Mr. Lee Metcalf as we talk about crappy old films. But this time out, it is going to be The American Werewolf in London.
So, yes.
Looking forward to that. Also, please pop along and check out Hypnobobs. I know Jim doesn't listen to this, but he deserves all the listeners he can get. And he's doing a marvellous job over there. If you like dark stories, if you like little weird tales, fun and frolics, then please pop over and check out Hypnobobs. It's coming up to Halloween, and so he's going to be having some really good material out now. So, please go check that out as well.
If you want to be Elton's friend forever, tweet him, telling him to do more Judge Dredd stuff.
Yes, please do. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Flipping love that stuff. Okay, so that's it. I think we've sold everything. We have plugged everything. I don't think there's anything else. So, thank you to everyone who's downloaded and listened to this. Let us know that you're listening. That'll be good. I'd like to hear from you guys. I know there are a few people out there actually listening. Beggars belief, but thank you very much to everyone who's made it this far. And we'll catch you for the Japanese Grand Prix. Until next time, bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Especially if October just got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?